And we want to bring in crime and safety expert Randy Sutton, a retired lieutenant from Las Vegas, who joins us live this morning to discuss just what goes through first responders' minds when they get that initial call, and then after the rush, the meticulous process of the investigation. So thank you for joining us this morning, Lieutenant Sutton.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously police train for situations like this, but when it's no longer a drill, what kicks in for the officers?
Well, training is absolutely essential when you are developing the skills to respond to incidents like this. Remember, this is an incident that most police officers will never have to actually endure, but they must be trained for it. Now, when I say trained, they need to be trained tactically. They need to be trained physically. They also need to be trained in the warrior spirit, which is something you don't hear much. There were 9 victims at this horrendous shooting. There was one warrior, and that warrior was Eric Talley. Now, that officer had to respond. He responded just as his training allowed him to do. He took heroic action. Remember, this suspect was shot. I don't know if it was Officer Talley's round that hit him, but this individual was shot. What is going to be examined now is in totality, how did this incident play out? What were the tactics used by the shooter? And then this will be meticulously dissected into a learning process that more officers can understand. But one thing that I really want to stress here is that the officer was the warrior here, and he acted in the most honorable sense of the profession of that warrior spirit.
And we have seen too many events like this in Colorado, Columbine High School and the Aurora Theater shooting, just to name a few. But Columbine back in 1999 kind of changed everything. The response has evolved even with other events, Sandy Hook, Orlando, obviously the shooting in Vegas where you are. What are police departments doing to train their officers differently now?
You know, that's a great question. Columbine was a watershed moment for law enforcement. It literally changed the way the law enforcement officers respond to active shooting events. And what I don't want to give away tactics to bad guys here, so I'm not going to really get into the tactics themselves. But the responses have changed. They are much more active when it comes down to creating tactics that will take out a shooter earlier. Remember, once those first shots are fired, this isn't a negotiation any longer. This is you want to take out that shooter ASAP, and that is the end goal here. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the training that these officers are receiving, because the training not only has to be tactical, and it also has to deal with the aftermath of these shootings. Remember, this was an incredibly bloody scene. Every officer that was part of this investigation is going to be facing traumatic issues. Okay, my organization is the Wounded Blue. We assist injured and disabled officers around the country, and I can tell you right now that there is going to be post-traumatic stress injury affecting these officers, and it has to be dealt with just as law enforcement tactics have to be looked at as well.
Certainly, it is a situation where every second counts, and emotions are so fragile right now. Lieutenant Randy Sutton, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
I appreciate it, and if anybody wants to help these officers and officers around the country, go to thewoundedblue.org and you can help.
Thank you.